Hey everybody, it is Jillian. So, yesterday, I've been talking about biochemistry and it's made up of fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and mineral. But what are fatty acids? Like, we know about fat and sugar and polyunsaturated fats and unsaturated fats and all these different fats and oils, and people are just like, what the heck? You hear all this press about different oils and if they're good for you or if they're bad for you, and people have demonized oils based upon the holistic allopathic world. And so when you think about it, fatty acid is like the omega-3s. And I never really I kind of put together, but not really, actually. Not really. I was thinking more of like the sugar. I mean, sugar is necessary, obviously, because it's for your DNA. And DNA is made up of phosphates and glucose, so you need sugar. But the fatty acids are the omega-3s. But then you hear about omega-3s, you hear about the supplements, you hear about people overdoing omega-3s. And so even though it mitigates against cancer, it also could cause cancer if it's not regulated. Well, how do you regulate fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals? So fatty acid, omega-3s, okay, fatty acid, amino acids, the proteins that you get in meat and also in plant-based like soy. And soy is also an omega-3. It's a fatty acid. Okay, so soy. So fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones is the nutrients you would find in all your vegetables and your fruits, and the nutrients in the garden, as well as in the animal fats and plant fats. Okay, so that's the fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, which is nutrients, vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And then minerals. Minerals are the elements. They're the electrolytes. They are the sodium chloride, the potassium, the calcium, all the different trace minerals that make up who you are as a person. But how do you regulate them so they don't become cancerous or become toxic? Salt is the fucking regulator. The reason why salt's been demonized, because then the system, biotech, can go in and regulate your hormone activity in lieu of you doing it on your own autonomously through the salt. But salt also brings up evolution when someone's at a deficit. So when someone's in a cured state and they don't want to do it through salt because they're afraid of the catalyst to evolution, and then the cured state, they would rather go in invasively or give you supplements or pills or powders or detoxes and regulate your hormones that way. And it's a multi-trillion-dollar freaking business. It is a multi-trillion-dollar business. And so that's why salt has been demonized by the holistic and the allopathic, because it serves to be a catalyst to evolution and cure any type of infection, which is out of control growth in your microbiome, which is made up of viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria. Okay, and so that's what all these parasitic infections are: bacterial infections, fungal infections, viral infections, yeast infections, same thing as fungal, protozoa infections. Okay, any infection is an out of control growth that the body is missing the nutrients, it's missing the minerals, it's missing the freaking electrolytes. And that's why when someone is dehydrated because they just were exposed to a virus that caused them to either throw up a bunch or have a bunch of diarrhea, they go to the ER and get the fluids put into their arm. I've heard people and seen people get like 6 bags of fluids because they're so dehydrated from the fact that they just got exposed to a flu virus or whatever virus, and their body was releasing old programming and trying to code, but the person already has imbalances, so they couldn't replenish their own electrolytes because they were afraid of salt. They were made to be afraid of salt. And so guess what? The system goes in and does it intravenously. Not say, hey, drink some salt water or drink some salty probiotic drink. Oh no, we'll just do it intravenously, everything intravenous, so that way you don't understand your own immune system. You don't understand your first and second lines of defense. Your first lines of defense is the mucus. It's the coughing, it's the sneezing. The second lines is the diarrhea and the fever and the throwing up. The third line is cancer, disease, and chronic illness. I mean, you hope you don't reach that, but people do. And then they put themselves more at a deficit when they're getting the genocidal antibiotics and therapies that are offered in the medical holistic system. And so when I realized yesterday that my dog was missing, because I would give her eggs. It has some omega-3s, but not a lot. And And I mean, I give her everything that I'm eating. She gets different fats. I put soy sauce in some of the meat, but she doesn't get a lot of it. So I was realizing that the fatty acid is are the omega-3s. You find them in fish, you find them in sardines, herring, type kippered herring that's in those little that I showed you yesterday. You get them in the canned fish. I don't eat a lot of fish. My husband likes to go fishing, and so we do have fish in the freezer. He doesn't make it a lot because I predominantly cook, but now I realize that's probably missing. So, and he needs to eat more of the kippered types of fishes. And so I added some kippered fish to my dog's dish yesterday, and also in her food, because I noticed that she was, I'm going to feel it again. Hold on, let me see. I don't feel, oh, here we go. Okay. It's still kind of there, but it's a little tiny lipoma. I can feel it under like whatever, but it takes a minute. It's not like out of control, but also it's not that, when someone has a lipoma or a dog has a lipoma and they're going through the jelly juice process, it's not like the jelly juice caused it. The jelly juice what brings up what's already inside. She was already, when she came into the Humane Society before I adopted her, they already removing tumors from her in the beginning. So whatever I'm doing as far as resetting her viral microbiome and then giving her now all the food in the food supply that's appropriate for dogs, that also corresponds with the nutrition pyramid offered by the government, it's going to bring up, and also the salt too, it's going to bring up anything that's way deep in her system. So I see her releasing mucus from her vagina. She had a seizure yesterday, and I don't know if it was because I went to Walmart to get the kippered fish, or that the fish brought her to another level, because I noticed that after I fed her that fish and she ate it up, and you saw the videos, she went outside and she had the zoomies, like major zoomies, and she almost looked different. I noticed something when I was looking at her at the top of the steps. She was really like, she looked taller. There was a different aura about her. I can't even really explain it. I'm trying to, but she looked different. And so then she went inside. So she's running around the deck, like in the zoomies. She came inside, she ran around inside. And then I heard something on the floor. Like she was like, I don't know. It sounded like she was scratching at something, but no, she then had a seizure. And I'm like, oh, okay. But she didn't pee because she already peed. So she peed a little bit, but I cleaned that up. And then I carried her upstairs onto the bed. She slept in. She just woke up now. And she's fine. But it's like, I'm sure that adding in nutrition with also viruses, nutrition that your dog doesn't ordinarily get, because why do dogs die? Because, first of all, the owner doesn't know how to take care of themselves, much less know how to take care of a dog. They only know what the vet has told them. They only know what mainstream media has told them. They never were told how to deal with evolutionary symptoms with animals. You think they're suffering. If the dog isn't fed correctly and given all the food in the food supply, it is a constant suffering, and then it becomes a diagnosable condition. So I'm in the process of resetting my dog's microbiome. She's got to deal with these viruses. Seizures happen because those are part of the dog's predispositions. It's the neurological system getting online with nutrition, with new viruses, and with a lot of stuff. And I see a lot of owners out there dealing with animals that are having seizures, and they're like, oh my God, my dog just had a seizure, and they're praying for their dog. And I can't say anything because let me tell you, people would just demonize me if I said anything on any other page. So I just observe and see how many seizures happen out there, and it's happening quite often out there in the Facebook world. Okay? And so then the owner goes to the vet and gets anti-seizure medication. The dog's now under the zombified state, or they're advertising, which I see in my newsfeed, CBD, to try to quell it. But you know what drugs do to dogs? It puts them in, like, just like a human, puts them in this zombified state under a drug, under influence, and the dog doesn't evolve. The dog eventually gets destroyed down the road because even CBD can't stop evolution. Antibiotic resistance is antibiotic resistance. The body still wants to live, but if the animal is not being fed all food in the food supply that's appropriate, that still covers the fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals, they will be constantly suffering because the body is still constantly trying to evolve. The person is resisting it by going to the vet, by taking things out, and then the dog eventually gets destroyed, whether it's sooner or later. And in this dynamic environment, animals will get destroyed. Humans will get destroyed faster because the humans and the animals don't know how to respond logically to evolution. And so this is why I've been focusing so much on animals the last couple of days, because they are an extension of you. How you treat your animal is exactly how you treat yourself. If you yourself are disposable, your animal and your kids and your friends and your family are all disposable to you. And so I'm trying to change that mentality with the JJ mentality that life is fucking precious. Buying a dog so it can be an entertainment piece to you is now a different way of, is not the JJ mentality. Okay, I get people that don't have the funds, they don't have the wherewithal even for themselves to take care of an animal. So they're going to have to let the animal go through that lifespan because they don't have the energy to really keep the animal alive. So I get it. I'm not going to fault anyone that's in the Jilly Juice world that allowed their animal to die, knowing that the animal needs meat, milk, cheese, eggs, salt, sodium chloride. It needs to go through the evolutionary symptoms, which can be quite scary because we've been taught to fear symptoms, fear pain, fear electrical impulses, and always quell it with CBD or some kind of, antibiotic. Okay. It's not fun. It's not always fun. Like I was up twice at 3:00 this morning because she was running around outside needing to pee and running around downstairs and not exactly sure if she wanted to go to sleep. And so that's why she just got up right now, because she was up in the middle of the night. So was I. But I'm home with her, and I've committed my life to figure her out and figure myself out. And so, this is what is in store for anyone that wants to keep not only their kid alive, but themselves alive and their animal alive. And the animal is an extension of you. They go through the evolution much faster. Okay. She went through all of her levels of predispositions. It's not fun. You have to be there for that animal. And you have to notice it. You have to notice growths. You have to notice that what kind of food you're giving. You can't just give them the kibble on the market and just say, okay, 1 or 2 cups a day, because you were told by your pit bull crowd or by your pit bull group what the average cups of food that you give your dog, because some dogs have a hormonal imbalance and they will eat all the food. They won't just, eat just 1 cup. And so then when you're like, the dog is not a self-feeder, then you realize the dog has hormonal imbalances. So anyways, so that's like my commitment to my dog. Now, as far as the Egypt, where someone thinks it's the cradle of civilization and it's a Luciferian propaganda, Egypt was not the cradle of civilization. It's one of the ancient civilizations, but the cradle of civilization, where the giants and the original gods came from, obviously was Sumer out of Mesopotamia. But Egypt came way after. But I think the reason why the Luciferians, like the Illuminati or whatever you want to call them, always focus on Egypt, because it's probably the most recent time where the giants were recognized, like they were one of the pharaohs. And so it's the most recent time where giants existed and still had ties to the original Sumerian Pantheon. But you see, like we see the Greek system in academia, and everything about the medical holistic system is all Greek based. But then I'm not sure exactly, and I'm just speculating why the Luciferians, the Illuminati, and all that are always turning to Egypt and the hieroglyphs and all the mummies and trying. I mean, that's why I'm like, I think like, how are the pharaohs? What's the average age of pharaoh? Oh, 45, 55. They weren't immortal. No one was immortal way back in ancient times. No one was immortal way back in the Sumerian times. Immortality is actually, when you think about it in its most truest sense, it's the newest thing. The JJ mentality actually tapped into immortality because we understood the power of salt. We understood the power of all the foods in the food supply. We understand the power of symptoms. So we actually, all of us, not just me, because you all contributed, you all gave me so much data. And I couldn't have done this without all of your feedback. And so we, as the Jilly Juice crowd, discovered actual immortality, not the shit that they're selling us from the propaganda of ancient Egypt and all the stuff from Sumer. Those were the advanced humans that I then also read something about Harvard. Harvard was saying that the Milky Way, or our solar system, was like a lab experiment by other higher powers, other advanced humans. I would not be surprised, because if you can play God in a lab, okay, putting together elements and intelligence like viruses and DNA, and you put them all together and you create another, type of being, okay, then I would imagine all the trillions of galaxies out there and all the trillions of planetary systems and 3,200 solar systems, or even in the Milky Way galaxy, someone was playing science somewhere. And so the animals today, right now, have to upgrade to this current mainframe. Okay? And that's the thing why anything that passes away is not adapting to the current environment. I don't care if your lifespan is 100 years, and I don't care if your lifespan is like 50 years. I don't care if they said the lifespan of an animal is 10 to 20 years or 10 to 13 years based upon the type of animal. But that's based upon being in a cured state and using biotech to go and do a nip and tuck and do a little remedy here and a protocol here to stop the energy of evolution, because the animal doesn't have enough of what it takes to deal with the evolution, and the person is afraid to deal with symptoms, and they're afraid to give the dog people food because they were scared away from people food. Oh God, it has, used to people talking about the hot dogs I was giving my dog. Oh my God, the salt, the nitrates, this is junk food. And I'm just like, oh my God, the dog needs salt. Do you know how you regulate how much fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals you have in your body? You can't go and dose yourself like they do in the medical holistic system. No, the salt is what regulates. You have intelligence. The microphages and the macrophages, based upon the predominant viral environment, is the one that regulates how much fatty acid your body takes on and releases. When people take on so much of the fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals, yeah, there's obesity. Yeah, there's hormonal imbalances. Yeah, people get depressed. They get a diagnosable condition, because when you have a hormonal imbalance, it then is a domino effect with other hormones and other parts of your body. And then people are cattywampus. They don't feel like themselves. They feel out of sorts. And so then what does the medical holistic system do? They go and their most go-tos, their easiest go-tos is to just destroy the life. And that's with the antibiotics, taking out organs, going under surgery, using aggressive antibiotics like chemotherapy, cannabis, all the different, like the elderberry syrup that the mommy and me groups use when their kids are dealing with evolution during the fall and the winter. And so, yeah, you're not going to, so you're not going to evolve when you're staying in a cured state and you want to be, asymptomatic all the time. But being in a cured state is destructive in a very dynamic environment, especially with this virus. And there's going to be many more thereafter, because with this climate change, okay, it's like 53, almost 60 degrees outside, and this is October, and we're going to get frost and snow next week, supposedly. But I remember coming here in 2010, and it was like, at least a foot of snow, okay, and even the years thereafter here in Ohio. But with this climate change and with the glaciers melting and new viruses coming up, and then biotech then capturing these viruses, maybe doing a splice and dice in the lab, but they are getting patents for the next vaccines to help people transition. But people want to transition. Yes, they want to live, but they don't know how to maintain. So even though you transition because you received a vaccine, or your parents did, or you're in a herd immunity type of community, okay, where even what you got or what you were exposed to wasn't so aggressive, so you can handle being exposed to someone who may have been recently vaccinated. But even recently vaccinated doesn't mean that they're much safer or not safe enough. It just means that the person was in an environment where the viruses were not that aggressive. But now with viruses that are very aggressive, vaccinated or not, because even if you get mRNA, you're still expelling. Okay, you're still rejecting the programming, and you still have to release. You're still going to cough. You're still going to have the first lines of defense being triggered because the body is rejecting a programming. No different than when your body releases programming that it doesn't want because a new programming came in, like COVID-19. Your body's going to reject old programming, and even the new programming will be bits and pieces in there, in your saliva, in your spit, in whatever. So no matter what, you're going to have to deal with these viruses. And yeah, you can get a vaccine or not, but if you don't get a vaccine, you're gambling if you don't understand the JJ mentality. If you do get a vaccine, it's fine. And if you want to evolve, then you'll just take some salt and the body will regulate and activate based upon the primary programming in your body. That's the main thing, is the primary programming. Okay, so I get even the bigger picture, but I want you to see, like, my dog, she's right there. She's doing fine. Okay? Say hi, sugar. Yeah, she was very subdued last night because she had to go through a healing process, but I don't stop her healing process. If I know that she's a little bit weak in the legs because she just went through an evolution upgrade, I actually have the strength now to pick up 60 pounds up the stairs and onto the bed. And then she was up at 3 o'clock this morning, her usual, because that's her usual routine now at this point. And she was running around, peeing outside and doing whatever. So, but I wanted to clarify about the Egyptian stuff. I don't understand why they focus so much on the Egyptian pantheon and why they don't focus so much on the Sumerian. And I have a reason why. I have an idea. It's the Manly P. Hall. This is for John Oakes. It's all the esoteric knowledge that's attached to the Sumerian pantheon, the original Sumerian pantheon. Because if the Luciferians picked out a specific pantheon that is relative to their intention, they can use that as a I don't know, what is it? That's how you can kind of control the perception of history with societies, if you pick out some ancient civilization of the past, because there's 6 cradles of civilization. Okay, there's the Mesopotamia, Indus Valley, Mexico, China, ancient Greek, and Peru. Okay, then you have the 10 oldest civilizations, which is Mesopotamia, Indus Valley, ancient Egypt, Mayan, Chinese, ancient Greek, Persian, Roman civilization, and Aztec, and then the Incan. Okay, so why do they choose Egypt out of the 10 oldest versus, I don't know, Indus Valley or Mayan? Well, ancient Egypt, I don't even know why. It's maybe because it's a Semitic area, and this is where the Jews were released from Exodus, so it's a Judeo-Christian thing, maybe, because that's what happened in Exodus. There's Genesis, and then there's Exodus, and Exodus was when the Jews that were slaves left Egypt, and the whole 10 plagues and the Passover. So maybe it is Judeo-Christian driven, and why Egypt is their baby to go to versus Mexico or Mayan versus Chinese, So that's my speculation. That's my theory of why ancient Egypt is being thrown out there as one of the cradles of civilization. They're not the cradle of civilization. The cradle of civilization is the Sumers. Is the first one is Sumer. And why they don't discuss it? Well, there is a biasness with our history, with the world. You look at the Vatican, and our president is over there at the Vatican, hanging out with the Vatican, with the popes that are being, chosen to be the ones that know the word of God. Then you can go and manipulate then all the different people who are bowing in supplication because they don't know their own power. So it's, holy crap, but it's also an edification. So even though you deify someone, it is an edification. It is bringing people up to a level of a moral and intellectual standard. Not everybody is meeting those standards, whether it's moral or intellectual, but it's attempting to find those who are evolutionary to then take on this information and release any excess and then continuously evolve. And so the JJ mentality is continuing, or the continuous process of improvement of evolution and adaptation. And it means that you got to go through the fire. It's not easy to evolve in this society at all, in any society. It hasn't been done. Yeah, reproduction is like an evolution. Going and doing CRISPR gene editing is type of evolution according to biotech. If you ask them what evolution is, it's, we came from the fish, and the fish turned into a monkey, and the monkey turned into a human. And then you have the creationists, all the people that are Judeo-Christian are like, oh, no, we were just supplanted here. We were just put here, and that was it. And they don't even want to even look at bioengineering. They're just like, you just magically appeared here, and that was it. This is the human race. We came from some other I think we were grown here in a lab and then bioengineered by higher powers, and then the higher powers use themselves as gods, put themselves as a as a deity, so people worship, and then there is the perception of what beauty is, and you can see that all over Facebook and the modeling industry in Hollywood, okay? And then it's then eliciting the hormones. It's then eliciting the oxytocin, the adrenaline. And the oxytocin is so riff out there because it is about manipulating through honey, through sweet, through the compassion, the kindness, and then potentially procreation. All right, you're not gonna procreate with someone unless you're either mad at them, really mad, and it's that sexual energy, or you're so in love that you have to go and just bind your bodies together and have a baby, and then you are following along with the formula of your society. And so the gods, those that created us from a lab, so to speak, knew that certain hormones would then cause people to not look at things logically, look at things through a sticky sweet, through, either brutality to make you hate them, so then you have the devil, or make you love them, and so you have a Jesus or an angel. And that is how communities and how societies have evolved. And it's definitely from hormone manipulation and bioengineering. And so when you do the JJ mentality, you're going to level out your hormones. You're not going to hate someone. You're not going to love someone. You're going to respect them if they respect you. Okay? That's it. I mean, the reason why I say I love my husband is because if I say I don't love my husband, then it's like, well, why are you married then if you don't love him? I mean, I love him, but I respect him more. You know why I respect him? Because guess what he can do? He can drive a truck. He's a major breadwinner. But not even that, because I've been with people who are major breadwinners and were, talented in other ways, but I didn't really respect them on a level where I felt like I needed to be with them. The fact that my husband can fix trucks, the fact that my husband can fix like our heating and cooling, that he can go and do modifications and build a deck, and if he wanted to build a house, and he's done so much stuff that I can't do. That's my respect, is the fact that someone could do something that I can't do. I mean, I could do it, but do I really want to? But the fact that he has mechanical ability, he can not only, build a house, but he can go and fix a car. He has so many talents. And so that's where the respect is the fact that the person has gifts that of mechanic ability that I don't have. And the fact that he relatively respects me. I mean, he doesn't really understand the JJ mentality. He's still stuck in the program way of like, oh, you're supposed to die someday, and it's all about going out and have a bang or having fun all the time. And I get that. So we're a balance. He's not super communicative, hardly at all. And I'm like, bah, 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 bah. So I make up for that. And so we balance each other out because we're both trying to live. Right now, I'm not making a living off my JJ mentality. Okay, I'm developing a book, developing a thought process, developing my everything. And so when you're in development, you're not making any money. So I am depending on him, and I appreciate that. And then I also reward him with my own energy once a week, give or take. Okay. And because I don't want to be siphoned off. He doesn't want to be, I don't spend a bunch of money. So we respect the fact that we don't siphon more energy than we're able to replenish from each other. Okay. And so everything breaks down to energy and equilibrium, and then evolution every so often. If you're always evolving, you're always fighting. If you never evolve, then yeah, you're stagnant, and then de-evolution. Okay? So it's a balance of a lot. And respecting yourself, respecting your own boundaries, respecting somebody else's boundaries, and still finding a way to work together even though there's differences. So anyways, holy crap. So I'm going to go, but I wanted to make that clarification about Egypt and about salt as a regulator for the fatty acid, omega-3s, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals. All right, bye.